Thank you for volunteering your time to assist with the oyster monitoring program. Given the importance of oysters and estuarine ecosystems, it is the goal of the GTMNERR to understand the status of local oyster populations and the reef habitats they build, and to track changes over time. To participate in oyster monitoring season, you must wear the proper PPE. This includes gloves, long sleeves, and boots. Reef monitoring and collection typically takes 3 to 4 hours, so bring sun protection, water, food, bug spray, and if necessary, extra clothing or hand warmers, as we often survey in the winter. Please be aware that monitoring occurs in adverse conditions, often being cold and rainy with uneven terrain and unstable footing. Upon arrival to the oyster reef, stay in the boat until instructed. Staff will set up the transect tape on the reef and randomly place quadrats along the transect. When instructed to, walk onto the reef and ensure that you do not step in any quadrats. The quadrats measure 1 meter by meter squared and have 100 different intersection points that need to be measured. Volunteers will split up into teams and begin percent cover classification for the quadrats. The classes are mud, shell, live, box, or other. Other can include vegetation, barnacles, clams, mussels, or debris. Box oysters are recently dead oysters that have the 2 valves still attached.
Mud, live.
The next step is to count the oyster clusters within the quadrat. Groups of 5 or more live oysters measuring over 25 millimeters count as a cluster. If any part of the cluster falls within the quadrat, count it. Next, you will assess the quadrat. If there are any conchs or mangroves rooted, count how many of each are present. The next step in the process is collection. The collection quadrats should always be placed in the corner of the large quadrat to the lowest whole number within the study area. So if the large quadrat was placed at 34 meters, the collection quadrat will sit inside between 34 and 34.25 meters. Subplots will be excavated either to a 15 centimeter depth or till we reach anoxic mud. If there is a cluster that is partially within the subplot, use a hammer to break off and collect only the portion that was within the subplot. Once collected, use the basket to rinse the excess mud off the oyster sample. Next, bag them in the provided black bags and tie them closed. Tag them with a strip of flagging tape that has the reef name and quadrat number written on it. Lastly is reef slope. You will locate the highest point on the reef and use a string with a hanging level attached to a stadia rod to walk to the reef edge. Once the string is level, the height will be taken from the stadia rod, giving us reef slope. Thank you all for your assistance with this oyster monitoring season. Happy monitoring!